Hello and welcome back to the Workbench. This is where we discuss ceiling fan history, trivia, and technical information. Today we're going to talk about Casabella Fan Company. And if you've heard of Casabella Fan Company, it's probably because you've seen one of my videos of a Casabella Fan Company fan. I bought it not knowing what it was, and then in my first video I misread the tag and thought the tag said Casablanca. I later learned that it was Casabella. It was a separate fan company. And then someone from Casabella Fan Company saw my video, reached out to me and said, hey, I made that fan a zillion years ago. Can I buy it back from you? And I said, of course you can. And I sold them my Casabella fan. So I picked their brain. I learned a little bit about Casabella Fan Company, and I also did some independent research. I want to share with you guys what I've learned about the Casabella Fan Company, which you may or may not have heard of. Turns out they were a bigger player in ceiling fans than you may have realized. Definitely than I realized. And in fact, the company that later bought them out and that they later became, you've definitely heard of. So, let's get into it. Casabella was founded in 1980, making two models, the ornate model, which is what I had in my video, and the plain. The plain faceplate is similar to Key Largo. They bought parts from other fan companies and assembled their fans, which turned out to be a pretty common practice, but it seemed pretty ballsy to me when the parts looked definitively like the other fan companies. They mainly bought parts from Casablanca and Sunbeam, which is why the fan that I have in my videos has a Sunbeam faceplate, Casablanca canopy, Casablanca blades, Casablanca light kit, etc., but they also machined some parts themselves. I think it had a unique flywheel, something like that. In 1981, they started providing fans to Riccar, which was a sewing machine company. Riccar wanted to be able to sell fans through their sewing machine retailers. The stores that sold Riccar sewing machines, they wanted to be able to offer them a fan option because fans were very popular in 81. So, Casabella formed a relationship with Riccar to provide them fans that would then be sold as Riccar ceiling fans. And they had a higher end line of fans, which are the ones that were made in America. They also needed a lower end line of fans, so they started importing them from SMC. So sometimes when you see Casabella or Riccar ceiling fans, they are in fact relabeled SMC fans. They were officially incorporated in 1982 by Gerald Craig Vickers. In 1983, Casabella fans show up in ads. Sometimes the picture looks like a Zephyr, which is technically their plain version. Sometimes it's an ornate stencil blade thing. Both pictures are 4-blade. Interestingly, I had a 5-blade one. In 1984, they have tax issues. In some ads, their fans look like a National. In some ads, it looks like an Emperor. That's an aside. 1984 is likely the year that Riccar bought out Casabella. So from 84 until a few years later, the fans are all branded Riccar. 1984 is the first year that the fans show up officially branded Riccar, and it's again a 4-blade stencil thing. In 1985, Casabella Emperors are clearly SMC. In 1986, the Riccar picture is a spinner, but the description clearly says 5-blade. 1986, the only Casabella mention is a closeout, and it's clearly a relabeled Homestead, so that's another mystery. In 1987, Casabella is again relabeled Homesteads. In 1988, the Riccar ceiling fan is a 5-blade GE Vent import. And in 1989, they are bought out by Tacony. So, you guys probably know Tacony. Tacony later became Regency ceiling fans. So, this obscure company, Casabella, that started out by making fans using parts from other companies, by the late 80s, through a series of buyouts, became Regency ceiling fans. That's quite the journey. I had no idea. I would have never guessed that that fan that I had in my video had any affiliation to Regency. I've been thinking about doing a Regency Tacony Workbench video at some point. I don't know if there's enough information out there to make it interesting, but there were a few different fan companies with the name Regency. I do want to dig into it at some point, so there may be a follow-up video, because this video goes from 1980 to 1988, and so maybe we'll have a 1989 forward video for Regency and Tacony. We'll see. That's why you need to subscribe to this channel, so whatever follow-up I do, you make sure you don't miss it. If you don't want to catch it in video form, you can catch it in podcasting form. You can catch it on Anchor Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are sold. And we are able to do... You know what? I had the fucking fan in the whole video up till now. Fuck it. We got to redo it. Can you hear that? I don't want that to be in the video. Ah, it's doing it again. Get rid of this. What is this? Hello and welcome back to the Workbench. This is where we discuss ceiling fan history, trivia, and technical information. Today we're going to talk about Casabella Fan Company. And if you're like me, you've never heard of them. But I was quite surprised to find that they had an affiliation with several companies I had heard of, and the history is quite interesting. So, my only association with them up until now is that I had found one. I thought it was, I didn't know what it was, and then when I got it, this is too much time. Hello and welcome back to the Workbench. This is where we discuss ceiling fan history, trivia, and technical information. Today we're going to talk about Casabella Fan Company. And if you've heard of them, it's probably because you've seen my video of a Casabella ceiling fan that looks like it was put together with parts from Casablanca fans. Casablanca. Hello and welcome back to the Workbench. This is where we discuss ceiling fan history, trivia, and technical information. Today we're going to talk about the Casabella Fan Company. And if you've heard of Casabella fans, it's probably because you've seen my video of a Casabella fan that looks like it was put together with Casablanca parts and fans parts. Hello and welcome back to the Workbench. This is where we discuss ceiling fan history, trivia, and technical information. Today we're going to talk about the Casabella Fan Company. And if you've heard of Casabella before, it's probably because you've seen a video I have of a Casabella fan that I found. I had no idea what it was when I found it. In fact, if you go look at the first video I have, I think I called it a Casablanca instead of Casabella. So, there's actually quite a bit to learn about Casabella, and they had kind of a significant place in fan history. Let's talk about it. So, Casabella was founded in 1980, making two models, ornate and plain. The plain faceplate would be similar to a Key Largo. They bought parts from Casablanca and Sunbeam and assembled them with parts of their own, which is why, for example, the Casablanca, God dog it. Hello and welcome back to the Workbench. This is where we discuss ceiling fan history, trivia, and technical information. Today we're going to talk about the Casabella Fan Company. And if you've heard of Casabella, it's probably because you've seen my video of a Casabella fan. I found it not knowing what it was. In fact, in my first video, I think I said the tag as Casablanca, not Casabella. I've learned a bit about them since. I've found out that that company actually has an important place in fan history. Let's talk about it. Let's learn some things. So, in 1980, Casabella was founded making two models, ornate and plain. The plain faceplate is similar to Key Largo. The ornate faceplate is what you see on my fan. They bought parts from other fan companies, most commonly Casablanca and Sunbeam, and assembled them with their own parts to make their fans. In 1981, they started providing fans to Riccar. Riccar was a sewing machine company, and they had a network of sewing machine dealers, and they wanted to have fans that their sewing machine dealers could sell because ceiling fans were very, very popular at the time. So, Casabella sold them their two models, American-made, as well as they needed an import cheaper line as well. So Casabella started importing from SMC and selling them to Riccar. And so some of the Casabella fans that show up in ads are in fact relabeled SMC products. In 1982, they are officially incorporated in the state of California by Gerald Craig Vickers. In 1983, Casabella fans show up in ads. The pictures sometimes look like a Zephyr, which is their plain fan. Sometimes it's an ornate stencil blade thing, which is their ornate version. The one that I have is ornate, but it's actually 5 cane blades. In ads, they all show up as 4 blade. In 1984, they had tax issues and were bought out by Riccar. Also in 1984, in some ads, their fans look kind of like national fans. In some ads, they look like emperors. Those are most likely relabeled SMC products that they are importing. Also in 1984, the fans showed up under the Riccar name, because that's the year that Riccar officially bought them out. And the Riccar fans show up as a 4-blade stencil option. In 1985, Casabella fans are relabeled SMC Emperors. In 1986, Casabella and or Riccar fans, the pictures show spinners, but the descriptions say 5-blade. In 1986, I screwed this up. Hello and welcome back to the Workbench. This is where we discuss ceiling fan history, trivia, and technical information. Today we're going to talk about the Casabella Fan Company. I need some water.